Hi, it's Jen, your functional diagnostic health practitioner and expert, and I wanted to take a quick break in my busy schedule this month to talk to you about brain fog because this is something that I have been noticing in myself. I never would have said that I had brain fog, not until now at least, and I'm going to tell you why in a little bit. But first, let's talk about what brain fog is. Now, brain fog is a term that is typically not recognized by most traditional health professionals, yet these symptoms of brain fog are extremely prevalent. It's basically a phrase that sums up a collection of symptoms or feelings that can include things like forgetfulness or confusion, maybe trouble concentrating, lack of focus or mental clarity, inability to handle stressful situations, like you mentally can't deal with it, difficulty recalling words or putting words together in general, feeling frazzled all the time, maybe mental fatigue, feeling less productive in life and work than maybe before, and struggling creatively are just a cluster of some of those symptoms, all of which are very, very common, but not exactly normal. Now, as someone who has always excelled in any job that I've ever had and who is very hardworking and likes to have multiple projects going on at the same time, I never even stopped for a moment to think that I might be suffering from brain fog because I was always so productive. I simply kept working towards whatever my personal and business or work goals was, thinking that it was just normal to need so many lists or post-it notes lying around my house to kind of keep everything straight. And it wasn't until my brain fog lifted that I realized that it had actually been there. Now, these days I'm as sharp as a tack, super clear, mentally tough, and I'm bursting with creativity all the time. I'm managing multiple program launches at one time. I hardly need a list for the little things anymore. I can easily recall details. I'm knocking out tasks left and right without feeling physically or mentally exhausted, and I have energy to spare for social activities on top of all of that, but that wasn't always the case. Now I am 100% back to being my go-getter self, and I am basically more productive than I've ever been before in my entire life. Now, sometimes we only know what we know until we experience something different. So it took getting out of the fog for me to realize it had been there for actually so long. The brain fog kind of crept up on me the same way it slowly rolls in off of the coastline. Super stealthy and low to the ground until wham, like you can't even see 2 feet in front of you anymore and you don't even know what is going on. I had become so used to living in the fog that I didn't even know it existed, essentially. I adapted to kind of my less efficient ways of functioning and being and thinking by creating more lists, using more post-it notes, engaging in less social activities, and essentially taking on less work to be less productive. Now, some of which I had to do in order to heal my body, but before I knew I needed to do that, I had adapted because I just couldn't simply keep up. Now, typically we tend to brush off symptoms like brain fog and associate them with just getting older. But what we don't realize is that these symptoms are not a part of getting older like we think that they are. Rather, they are a sign that something isn't right in our body. These subtle signs of brain fog can actually be early indicators of brain inflammation, and left unattended to, they increase your risk for dementia, Alzheimer's, other degenerative diseases, and larger scale health conditions, maybe such as autoimmunity, or even worst case scenarios like cancer. So this week I wanted to jump in and talk with you about how to uncover what might be contributing to your brain fog and how you can lift it. And we'll talk about specific steps and how you can start to remove brain fog from your life overall, just like I did. So just like any other dysfunction, disease, or condition, Inflammation is at the core of brain fog. Now, it is believed that high levels of inflammation alter basically 3 primary hormones that dictate how our brain functions overall. Now, the first hormone is serotonin, which is known as your happy hormone. The second one is dopamine, your well-being hormone. And the third one is cortisol, your stress, anti-inflammatory, energy, blood sugar, and sleep cycle balancing hormone as well, amongst other things that it does. And inflammation in the gut has particularly a huge effect on brain function, since it can directly interfere with the gut-brain axis that we now know about. Now, the key to lifting brain fog is figuring out what's fueling the inflammatory fire, essentially. And inflammatory factors can be different for everyone. For me, in the midst of my brain fog, toxic mold in my home was a huge inflammatory factor, along with using contaminated tap water, a variety of food sensitivities, and also a variety of intestinal parasites, bacteria, and yeast overgrowth that were causing a lot of gut inflammation. Now, for others, brain fog and inflammation might be fueled by simply eating inflammatory foods such as gluten, dairy, sugar, soy, or alcohol. Or it could be unknown food sensitivities or reactions. And I'm not talking about allergies, I'm talking about sensitivities or reactions. It could be hidden heavy metals, chemicals, or other toxin contaminants in your environment. It could be a leaky and inflamed gut or lack of vitamin and mineral deficiencies. And it can also be a result of maybe various hormone imbalances or side effects of autoimmunity, in addition to maybe overexercising when the body is already depleted. Now, these are just some examples of what can fuel the fire. For some, lifting the fog can be as simple then as avoiding the top 5 inflammatory foods, maybe eating organic, and getting to bed by 10 p.m., depending on what your factors are. Now, as I discovered, even once you start to lift their fog, there's an endless possibility for how much better you can actually feel. And that's because I feel even more incredible today than I did before. Now, remember that you only know what you know until you know something different. So if you want to feel exceptional, then lifting the fog may just be the start of it. And then you can clear the fog completely and explore the endless possibilities of just how great you can actually feel. So here are the 6 steps that I took for busting through brain fog so that you also can think clearly and feel like yourself again. Definitely step number 1 is, at a minimum, avoiding the top inflammatory foods such as gluten, dairy, sugar, soy, and alcohol. Step 2 is focusing on being asleep by 10 p.m. most days of the week to balance cortisol and the circadian rhythm. 3 is exercising at an intensity that is invigorating but not exhausting. 4 is giving your brain a break with a daily dose of meditation or a deep breathing. 5 is investigating and eliminating toxins in your home and work environment. And 6 is to test your hormones, gut, and liver function for hidden sources of inflammation and healing opportunities that you can work on to restore balance to your body. Now, if you take action in these 6 areas and find yourself still struggling with brain fog, then it just means you might need to dig a little bit deeper, investigate further, and identify other contributing factors for inflammation like I had to as well. Don't just suck it up and see signs of brain fog as getting older, or let them be diagnosed as something else paired with a quick fix medication that is ultimately just going to leave you settling for a lower quality of life, or just getting by but still not feeling like yourself like you truly want to. So do me a favor, don't settle for anything less than what you deserve, which is the world, plus some, by the way, when it comes to your health and well-being. Take empowered action. Don't let the signs that your body is giving you go unnoticed. There is an endless possibility to feel even more incredible than you can even comprehend. And if you need help getting your hands on the right lab tests and resources to lift your brain so you can feel like yourself again, then I want to invite you to schedule a complimentary Ideal Health and Weight discovery session with me whenever you would like to. You can schedule that by clicking on the links below, going back to the blog or the email where you you found this video. Now I hope you guys found that helpful and you start to clear that brain fog so that you could be the best version of yourself and feel like yourself again, or for the very first time. All right, that's it for this week. See you next week on the blog.